Daled Elul, Hatavshin Samepes, Shir Klali, Parsha Shoftim.
So we begin the Parsha Shoftim with a mitzvah, say the positive commandment in the Torah of what's called Minui Dayonim. We have to elect, and we have to, the tzibur, the whole public is commanded that they must take care that in every city and every general area where Eden live, in Eretz Yisrael and the Fila in Chutz La'aretz, there have to be the from Dinei Bati Din, there have to be Dayonim, judges. There's plenty of room if you guys just move a little bit. I don't want you guys sitting over the back. You can sit over here. All right. You guys move along. Plenty of room. The tzibur is commanded to see that in every city, like Rashi brings the whole year or year. In every city there has to be what's called the judges of the court, the dayonim, what they sit regularly in the Mishnayos and Masechta Sanhedrin, also in the Masechta Kesubos, the Seder, how they used to sit and how they used to be ready to receive the people who wanted to bring matters to judgment. And that's a mitzvah saseh, that, as we pointed out, that you didn't have to see that there be a whole hierarchy of judges. And that goes from different levels, from Sanhedrin or Godel. But that was Shivim, the Echad, Dayonim, what they used to sit in the Lishkes Hagozis right alongside the Heichel of the Beis HaMikdash, all the way down to the Sanhedrin Aktana, but that was the Sanhedrin with 23 judges, but that was also in other central areas in Eretz Yisrael, and then all the way down to the smaller Bati Din of 3 Dayonim, what they were able to judge Dini Momenes, but they're not able to judge Dini Nefoshes, things that have to do with life, and that's Hashem Yishmarein. And therefore, there's a series of halachas which are brought in these psukim, but in regard to that requirement of the Torah to see that there be suitable dayonim in all the centers where Yidden live. And so then the pasuk goes on to say that they have to judge with shoftu es ha'om mishpat tzedek, they have to judge a righteous judgment. And then it's written in Pasuk Yud Tes, Lo Yisateh Mishpat, you're not allowed to misrepresent the halacha and turn it away from its right Pesach. V'lo Yisakir Ponim, you're not allowed to respect rich people or great people and push away the poor people or give them less attention. V'lo Yisikach Shoichad, and you're not allowed to take bribe or monetary benefit, and Rashi brings even to paskin the right way, and it says that sheikhad has a terrible effect on those who take it, etc. Then the pasuk says tzedek tildoi, that you must run after, you must chase, literally you must flee after tzedek, and the pasuk repeats it twice. Doubles the expression that you must chase righteousness. Tzedek, irdoi. Lama, and if you do that, the reward will be in order that tichye, you will live, veyorashta es ha'oretz, and you will inherit Eretz Yisrael es ha'oretz Asher Hashem Elokecha Neisein Lo. In other words, that as a result of tzedek Tildoiv, then you'll be Yoirish Eretz Yisrael. What that means that you'll inherit it. You'll also drive out all the goyim from Eretz Yisrael, and it will be suitable for Yidden to live there. And how do you get to Eretz Yisrael? It's a matana from the Eibshter, Hashem Elokecha Neisein Lo. So the intelligent reader is immediately attracted by the doubled expression tzedek Tildoiv. What tzedek is a noun meaning righteousness or proper judgment. Tzedek, right judgment, correct judgment. So tzedek Tildoiv. So us, the intelligent reader asks, why do we double the expression? And particularly that we've already been told in Pasha Kedoshim, if you remember over there, it was written, B'tzedek tishpoit es amisecha. If you're going to judge your neighbor or your fellow man, your fellow friend, then you must judge him b'tzedek. So we've already been told that you have to judge people b'tzedek, using a righteous basis for the judgment. ועוד פסוקים מסוג זה, מעין זה. So I asked the Shaila, what is the chiddush of tzedek till days I have to chase after and run after tzedek? And what's it got to do here in this particular context? So it comes along Rashi, and Rashi says, tzedek till days, halach acha beis din yofe. She says you must go after a good Beis Din or a nice Beis Din. The word Yofel means to be nice. So what it means is you must chase after a good and effective Beis Din, Yofel. So what does he want with that, Rashi? So Rashi is answering the double up of the word tzedek, that the whole meaning of Dayanim on a Beis Din is to judge, as we saw before. We've been told that they must judge only according to tzedek, only according to the right and proper judgment of Pitorah. The tzedek tishpoit es amisecha. And we saw that it was written here again, V'shoftu es ha'om mishpat tzedek. They must judge. That's the whole task of a Dayan. Otherwise he's a Dayan apostle. Rachmani Mitzlani brings terrible results, as we'll see, to what Rashi says here. So that's a Dova Muvan, that the Ayon of the Beis Din, he has to pass in the right way, and the Din has to be a Din Tzedek. Rashi says, why does it have to be repeated again and even doubled? And therefore Rashi says that you have to go you have to go after a good Beis Din. That means to say that if you know that in your city there's a Beis Din with Dayanim, you know that in a zweite city, which is not all that far, it's Mavur in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, even if it's quite a distance away, but you happen to know that over there there's another Beis Din, and it's better than when I say better, the judges are more charifim and more chachomim in divrei Torah than the judges are over here. They're more experienced, they're more zakenim, they're greater in their reputation as chachomim amitiyim. Therefore, you have to go, says Rashi, after that Beis Din. Now, what do you mean you have to go? I mean, a din has usually got two people connected to it. There's a toyein ve'ah, or how do you call it, a nitvo. In other words, a toyein is a nitvo anyway. There's the toiveya, the one who's demanding what he wants a certain inyan, and then there's the one who's being nitan, the one who's being tained against. So they're the two people that there must always be in any din, except for din and nefoshes. Of course, then you can only have, in many occasions, only one person. So what do you mean by halacha? Beis Din yofer? We've got to decide between the two. Maybe one doesn't want to go. And if What Rashi means is that you should use all of your influence, and you should be mashpia if you're the nitan, or if you're the toiveya, that you have to be mashpia after Twaita, of the other person, and the two of them together have to be mashkim to go after a Beis Din Yofe. That's the doubling of the Loshen Tzedek. Anyway, has to be, even the Dayanim who are not as experienced, of how do they have to do according to their knowledge and according to their zikna and according to their chokhmah. In Torah, they have to go only according to the union of Tzedek. So that belavach is the basis of any Beis Din with Dayanim. But then there's a union from a Beis Din Yofe, that in Tzedek Gufa, another level of Tzedek. In other words, that their Yediyah is so profound, their Chokhmah is so great, that they make in Tzedek Gufa a new level of Tzedek. In other words, that they're more likely and much more reliable to Paskin Tzedek Amiti, and therefore they're called Yofe. What Yofe means, effective. In many cases, the word Yofe means effective. And therefore, says Rashi, Halach Acha Beis Din Yofe. You have to do all in your possibility to be mashpia. You should go to the better Beis Din, to higher, more experienced chachomim and dayonim in that particular Beis Din. And therefore, that's Rashi's way of answering the doubling of the Loshen Tzedek. And then Rashi says, Laman tichya v'yorashta, in order that you should live, literally, and you come to take over and conquer and inherit Eretz Yisrael. So Rashi says, Kedaihu minui hadayonim aksheirim. So worthy and so powerful is the mitzvah of electing kosher dayonim, lahachiyah Yisrael, to give Yidden life, to make them live. The key to give them life despite the fact that they might be faced by enemies. Lahachiyah Yisrael. And to sit them down literally in Eretz al admoson, meaning on Eretz Yisrael. So many people want to suggest that statement of Rashi doesn't have anything to do with the beginning of the pasuk, because the beginning of the pasuk is talking about you've already got Bati Din, you've already got him. And you've got to decide to which Beis Din is preferable to go. According to the end of the pasuk, it would appear that Rashi is saying that that's referring to the whole mitzvah that we began with at the beginning of the whole section, the whole parsha, of electing the Etzem Dayonim. And that if you elect Dayon Kishayim and you take the right attitude towards who you elect and how you do it, and that's a sgula, how they call it, a elixir, that will cause Yidden always to live despite their enemies, and it will sit them on Eretz Yisrael safely, and they will sit in Eretz Yisrael alad Mosa. That's a quote from famous medrash from Bamidbar, and one called the Sifri, some medrash of our sages. And there's another whole section in the Sifri, but Rashi doesn't quote it. Oh, this is not the place here to get involved in the Gamsa Diuk about what's not written. We've got enough to worry about what Rashi does bring. So that comes along the Sifsei Chachomim. He's one of the great Acharonim that he has all sorts of observations on Rashi. And he wants to taina that Rashi is not referring to the beginning of the pasuk. That the beginning of the pasuk is talking about a detail when I've already got the dayonim. I already have dayonim. Then I say, go where you got the best dayonim. Halach acha Beis Din, Beis Din Yofe. Over the end of the pasuk is talking about minui dayonim, about electing them. Well, that's the mitzvah at the beginning of the parasha. And if he wants to say that Rashi doesn't mafarish the beginning of the pasuk with that last statement that he made, but he's being mafarish the klolos ha-parasha, as it was like a summing up of the whole parasha. That's a dova mistaber of a it's a little bit strange to say that Rashi, with his whole inyan, is to be mafarish pshutoi, the simple taich of the pasukim. The Rashi would be mafarish in one pasuk, two different inyanim, and the second part of the pasuk doesn't really have any connection with the with the first part, and it's referring back to other Pesukim. Therefore, we have to say, we can maybe suggest, but that really Rashi is Mafarish, the beginning of the Pasuk, and he says that inyan that you should always go after a Beis Din Yofeh. That means that there has to be a Metzias where you could go after a Beis Din Yofeh. In other words, that the way that Yidden are commanded to elect Dayonim, to have Dayonim in all the cities, is in such a way that you have to have what you might call competition. You have to have, like the Gemara brings in Masechta Bava Basha, what the Gemara says, that Kinas Seifrim Tarbe Chochma, where there's competition between Chachomim, and one yeshiva or one place says that it's better than another yeshiva, and so how do you know it's better? Because they learn better, and the Talmidim are better, and there's more Yirah Shamayim, v'chule, all sorts of inyanim. What that means that there has to be kosher competition between the Chachmei HaTorah, and each one has to, as it were, sell his wares in order to be moishech and to attract the inyan of the Talmidim. And so one of the inyanim is not just the actual learning, but also the outcome of the learning. One of the inyanim is that not just that people learn well and they learn good, but they learn what they learn. In other words, or they live what they learn. How's the old expression? Have it, live, and learn. In other words, that you've got to take into every part of your life, and you've got to be a living dogma from what you learn. And that's the inyan of what is well known, the inyan from Tomchei Tmimim, that the Rebbe founded, the whole yeshiva of Tomchei Tmimim, that the whole inyan was that the Bachrim would be living dogmas at the inyan from Teres HaChassidus. They wouldn't just talk about Chassidus. When they go back to their dormitories and their bedrooms, they do something else. No, they would be living dogmas afilu b'chadrei chadorim. They would be living dogmas of the inyan from Teres HaChassidus. That's the inyan of Kinas Seifrim Tar B'Chochma, that you have to have competition between the yeshivas, that this one says that it's a good yeshiva, and another says that good to the Roshi yeshivas, good to Mashpim, or good to Chachmei HaTorah, and so on, and Ka'etzu B'zeh. And therefore we can suggest that that's what Rashi means, that Halacha Beis Din Yofeh, that's a din in the Minui Dayonim, not like the Sifsei Chacham. That in Emerson you have to elect Dayonim, and as our way that there will be competition. And as a time, as our matchup, that one member, one Baal Din will say to his friend, well, he's not his friend at that particular moment, because they're tining one against the other. He's the Emerson friend, the Emerson will say, and he'll say, listen here, in dem suburb or in dem shtetl, there's a gewaltige person, look at the Dayonim over there, these are real Chachmei HaTorah, these guys over here a little bit batlonim, that there should be a Zamin Metzia. Therefore Rashi says that Halacha Beis Din Yofeh is a din in the Minu Dayonim. Also it sign that there should be a Zamin Metzia, a Zamin that people would be able to say, let's go after Beis Din Yofeh. Therefore, Rashi said, if you do it by even Koser, that's the way that the Dayonim are Menuyim. In other words, they're Menuyim, it's the Emes of Chochmah, and the Emes of Dugma, what they give to the Jewish people, or then that's Minu Dayonim Kshedim. Therefore, Rashi puts in the word, he doesn't say Minu HaDayonim, but he puts in the word Minu Dayonim Kshedim. But you got to make sure that the Dayonim and the Beis Din are kosher Dayonim. They're mamish worthy of their post, and they know, and they're learner, and they're good to living dugmois of all the dinim which have been said atka, not to take sheikhat, not to be maval with the din, to make sure that it's a mishpat tzedek, v'chule v'chule. In other words, all these are dinim in the etzem election of and appointing of the Dayon. Because if it's Aminui Dayonim who are Kesherim to the whole Indian, then that will bring Lahachis Yisrael, will bring the Indian from Chayim to alle Yidden lo yeshiva al admos, and it will bring to the union of Yishuv, Eretz Yisrael, in the best and safest way, without going into all the details. It's written in the Sifri over there that Rashi mitzadei zetam. It doesn't bring the hemshich hadalosh. Anyway, we see that Lafi said that it's all one Indian, the mitzvah of electing the Dayanim, and all these are different details, and it all finishes with that pasuk Asher Hashem Elokecha Neisen. Well, Rashi learns in that kufa that tzedek means you have to go to a high madrege in tzedek, not just stam tzedek, but you have to chase after the highest Indian that you can find in Chachmas HaDayanim. So that's how Rashi learns it. However, if we look carefully at the union and the word tzedek, tildev tends to indicate, if we think about it a little bit more, but hadrush, kitzat yoter, that the word that tends to indicate that there are like two levels or two inyonim in tzedek itself. Therefore, we say that you have to go for both. You've got to go for tzedek and then tzedek, and then nacha in tzedek, and you have to be ready. You have to chase after it and flee after it and use all your koiches ishtadlers to get to it. And therefore, if we go a little bit further, we see that the Even Ezra he brings down. He moves slightly away from the simple mitzvah, the minui hadayonim, and he says that you have to chase after tzedek, whether it'll be to your benefit or whether it'll be to your loss. In other words, even if you stand to lose, and you know l'chatchila that it's not going to be to your benefit, or you have to go after tzedek. In other words, you have to follow and be meide ala emes. That Indian kach v'kach is the Indian kach v'kach is the tzedek, that's the emes righteousness. And therefore, even if you'll have a loss, or even it'll bring you to a Indian which wasn't to your benefit, begolu upon him in Gashmias or whatever it might appear, that you have a hefzed, I feel in the Indian from dinim in the Beis Din, that you've got to be honest and you've got to say that that's a inifah tzedek af that I might have a loss from. Therefore, tzedek in one part means where you might benefit from it, and then there's another tzedek, but that's a much more difficult tzedek that you have to be moide ala emes. You have to go after tzedek, and you have to be reid of tzedek, even if you know it might cause you a certain disadvantage, or what looks to be a disadvantage for chulul. As they state in the Even Ezra. So we see that the Even Ezra is moved slightly from the etzem mitzvah of the etzem roundabout, well, the etzem context, the union from minui hadayonim, and he's moved it into a slightly more conceptual level, that there are two levels in tzedek, one which is a tzedek which is a comfortable tzedek. In other words, it's good for the mensch to be to chase after and act in a way which is based on righteous judgment and righteous psak, because he's anyway going to benefit from it, Ramallah. And then there's a more difficult, that even if you know it's going to bring you into disadvantage, nonetheless you go after the tzedek and you're not noite, you don't turn your minus small from the derech ha-tzedek. I think that's what we could suggest to further move on the part of the Even Ezra. Comes again the Rabbeinu B'chaye. Well, it's one honor, he was from the very early Rishonim. The Rabbeinu B'chaye Harishonim. There's two Rabbeinu B'chayes. This is the early Rabbeinu B'chaye, and he takes Malachatchila an approach that the Inyaf and Tzedek is two inyanim, it's like two states or two zaken, and he moves it out of the whole mitzvah of dayonim, the whole mitzvah of batidin, like Rashi keeps it within the context, and Rashi sees it all one halacha from the beginning to the end, just different pratim Pratim in the same halacha. Comes again to Rabbeinu Bechaye, and he says that there's an inyan of tzedek, and then there's another inyan for tzedek. They're like two madregas in tzedek. And the first madrega, he says, is that a mensch must always only say what he knows to be right. In other words, that there's an inyan, one of the biggest trials that a mensch faces is the inyan of dibur. In other words, that he can think all sorts of gewaldige inyanim, or all sorts of inyanim which are maybe not gewaldige inyanim. But when it comes to the inyan of dibur, then there's a certain play takes place. A certain mishchak. In the inyan of dibur, he doesn't say everything that he really knows to be the case. There's a famous old quip has it, which I'm not sure exactly how tzedek that is, but there's an old quip which says that you're not allowed to tell a lie, but you're not mechuyev to say the whole truth. In other words, there's a certain mishchak in the inyan from dibur. And so therefore it said to Rabbeinu Bechaye that the first inyan from tzedek is that a mensch must be what he thinks, and what he says, and what he does should all be mikshah achas. It should all be one inyan, and that you have to be a living example of what you think, and you have to say what you think be emes. And if you don't think tzedek, then don't think and don't say and don't do. So what are you supposed to do? Therefore, the Ramban brings it. We'll soon see in a minute. The Ramban brings that you have an eitzah, and that is that you have to go and ask and be batil completely to Chachamim. And you have to give yourself away entirely. Like it's brought down in the Pirkei Avos that you have to sit be'afar ragleim. Nowadays nobody demands that you roll around on the floor. When it comes to sit you in a nice big room and give you air conditioners, at least if they work. And all sorts of good inyanim. He said, Mary, you don't have to be misgalgal al ritzbo b'teichei offer. But nonetheless, it's in Pirkei Avos that you have to be misabei b'afar ragleim from the Chachamim. So it's brought down in the Gemara Masechet Rosh Hashanah, if I'm not mistaken. It's stated in the Gemara Masechet Rosh Hashanah. It's written that the Chachamim had mottos, and they used to say that you must go to Yavne because over there in Yavne, dort is Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he's the leader, and he's the Chacham Amiti. If a miller go over there, for some Rebbe. Don't hang around here. Halach, Achar Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. You should go after him to Yavne. If a miller, we see the whole idea of traveling to a Rebbe and being bottled to a Rebbe. I feel in the Gemara. And so the Ramban says, what we should do is, because in order to know how to be a ish tzedek, in order to think, to talk, and to act in one mixture, you have to be around the Chachamim. You have to be, how do you call it? Misavir l'Chachamim, and you have to sit b'afar ragleim, and you have to be shtupt in 770 or in some other place. You have to shtupt and say, and you certainly get enough afar ragleim from everybody else all over you. In 770, it's, particularly when the Rebbe used to come into the Fabringans and it used to really go crazy, then you could even get it on your head if you weren't careful. Or you were lucky if you didn't get a big bench or something swung from somewhere and almost broke a few heads. Miraculously, it didn't use them. But that's maybe one of the ongoing nisim. It's brought down in the Beis Hamikdash. There were 10 nisim the whole time in the Beis Hamikdash. In 770 there were nisim that used to go the whole time. Isma Mele, Halach Achar Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Yavne should chase after Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Or, says the Gemara, Halach Achar Rabbi Shiorim. That's one of the Rabbi Yehuda Hanosi. He lived in a place called P Shoftim. That was like one of the centers of his whole teaching, that he should run after P Shoftim, because that's where Rabbi is. We see that the answer, if you say, I can't be a ish tzedek, mamish b'basachas, and immediately say nachanami. So the way to know how to be like that is dafka to go to either to Yavne or to P Shoftim. You have to be a chassid and chase after him, and you learn and you come to know what is the emes oifa of being a ish tzedek, and knowing what is the inyan from tzedek, what is the immediate in yonim, how they should be, what is righteous to think has to be what is righteous to speak, and what is righteous to do. But that's what the Bein B'chai, with a slight development on view of the L'Shainai. That's what he says is the first tzedek. Who should try to tzedek lafizeh? What's the second tzedek im kain? So he brings down, and so does the Ramban, and so does another great, one of the other great Mukubalim, that he's got a pure Shalatera, the Reikanti, Rabbi Menachem Reikanti. Well, they bring down a very fascinating sefer, which is called the Sefer HaBohir. I don't know, you guys maybe know, it's brought down on Siddur in Kamma Mekemes. There's a very early Kabbalah sefer called the Sefer HaBohir, which is later than the Sefer Yetzirah, but it's very early. And if I'm not mistaken, it's miyuchas. It's said to be written by Rabbi Chunya ben Akoneh, that he was one of the great Tanoim, but he was known also to be very great in Pnimus HaTorah. So he wrote this sefer, the Derech very early Kabbalah, which is called the Sefer HaBohir. And they bring down this from the Sefer HaBohir that the second tzedek is another inyan altogether, and the second tzedek is a Uyar Godel, which is Shaykh Lamaila, and it's going to be Mizgala when Moshiach will come. I say it's mashman taught in the Sefer HaBohir, and that even the tzaddikim, even those who are emes tzaddikim and emes shleimus in Torah u'mitzvahs, or they fear for this gila which is going to be. In other words, it's going to be so amazing and so profound and so mind-boggling, this is galus, which is going to be. This is the second tzedek, that even the tzaddikim are going to sit for a tremendous gilui of this life. And it's written, therefore, it's even mafchid es tzaddikim, that even makes them tzita for pachad, as you might say, that even the tzaddikim tzita. So I thought, what if tzaddikim got to tzita, to shake with pachad in front of a divine light? On the contrary, the more divine light, they should really, had it could go for it, and they should absorb it, and had it could be sameach with a tremendous gili of the Oyer HaGodel, which is going to be Liosid Lover when Mashiach comes. Was it mafchid as a tzaddikim? Elamai, that's going to be a tremendous light, with such an unbelievable shining gilui, which is called Uzay Shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the infant Gevura. It has a certain trace of Gevura in it, that it's going to shine and illuminate into everybody in such a way that it will go into the secrets of everybody in a Za'oifen, that it'll light up that'll light up the intestines, it'll light up the, what they say in Yiddish, the kishkes, and it'll light up every aspect of you, and you'll be illuminated in this tremendous, burning, unbelievable light, and the Avish will just take it and say, in other words, there'll be this unbelievable gilui of what a person really was and where he was really holding, and was stutzuk mitem in all inyanim and azam in even, that it'll all be illuminated on the screen. It'll be unbelievable illumination. That David will take a glance, and say, with all these millions of people, with all these lights shining on these screens, say, in other words, that's mafchid, I feel the tzaddikim, because the tzaddikim are humble people, and they think, I'm also not perfect, like we see that Milon of God, Yankov Avinu, he said, Shema Yigrei Machek, maybe I've seen it, maybe Yeah, like the Alter Rebbe brings it down in Geras HaKodesh, chapter 8. That Yaakov Avinu, the more chesed he had from the Eibus, the more unbelievable nisim that happened to him, the more he was worried about himself, that Shema Yigrim, maybe he's not worthy of this unbelievable Gilui. And if that's going to be mafchid as a tzaddik, over all upon him. And as they state in the Ramban brings down the same Sefer Aboy as the Rabbeinu B'chaye. Well, it's well known that Rabbeinu B'chaye is somewhat, was very much under the influence of the Pirushi HaRamban. So from that we see that there's another Indian, it's two madrigas altogether. That first of all is the Indian from Shechino. There's the Indian, that's what the Rabbeinu B'chaye and the Ramban quoted, but that's tzedek in the normal sense. Because that's the Indian, like the Alter Rebbe brings in Perek Nun Aleph in Tanya, that the Nun Beis, that the Shechina is called Shechina because the Shoichen is betak toinim, it dwells and comes down into the lower world. That's the level of the Eivishtai Shak to being Mechaya as Kol Olam Asaniv, all created worlds, all the worlds which are Ayesh Minah Ayin, as we bring it in Tzedek. And then there's another Indian, a much higher Indian than Shechina. Now that's the Etzem Indian for the Eivishtai. How he's higher than all the Giluim and all the Ilmas, and those are the Indian from Tzedek Sheni, those are the Hedikot. What's it got to do with, we just pointed out, those are Seivu Kohamin, Atzma Seiv. And so how's that tied to Tzedek? Like we pointed out, it's going to be an unbelievable Gilui, an unbelievable Hedikot, his galus to the world, but at the same time, that will reveal where you were really holding. That will reveal and that will show. Yeah, on the one hand, it will be most unbelievable schools, an unbelievable highest that ever will have in such an unbelievable gilui, but at the same time, there'll be a certain shame that everybody will feel when this gilui will be functioning in their particular screen. And that's what is well known, that there was certain Chassidim in the old generation of the Chassidim, not like nowadays, that when a Rebbe came in, they used to hide under the benches. They used to jump under the benches, not on top of them. Now when the Rebbe comes in, everybody jumps on the benches to try and catch a look. And Kuli Haiva maybe the Rebbe might even see him, as a given alternate Chassidim, they used to do the B'diuk La'efa. They used to jump onto the benches, and the tzaddikim should look at them. They were fighting the Rebbe, he would see immediately. And they were ashamed that the holy eyes, that the Fas Yonah Maaseh, just not all that long ago, the famous chassid, you heard about him, Itcha the Masmid. Hashem Yim Koim Domov. He's never killed in a very terrible, cruel world by the Nazis. Itcha the Masmid. He was once sitting by Fabringen in Russia with the Frierdiker Rebbe. And the Frierdiker Rebbe looked at him. The Frierdiker Rebbe turned his eyes in his direction. And he said in Yiddish, he said, the Rebbe nehmt derop eure heilige Augen von mein Treife Zure. He said, Rebbe, please take away your holy eyes from my treif shape. Just don't look at me. I say, it doesn't give it the something similar to that. It's going to be the unbelievable Iskalas Liossi. But as I'm in sort of oil will show up, I say, called Hadrei Boten, as the expression has it, in the Nevi'im, literally the rooms of the Kishkes, the Hadrei Boten. And that's another idea altogether, that Tzedek, Hasheni is an unbelievable Iskalas Shai to the Gilui of Melech Mashiach. I'm going to come back to that shortly. Was Lafise, that the level of tzedek in Azawifen is such a high level and such an unbelievable level that therefore, you automatically feel what you need to correct, or what it might be a little bit late to correct, but also upon him, you hope that great oil itself will heal you or correct you. Ve'ilu, the inyan of tzedek harishain, means that's things that's in your hands, or that's what you've got to work, and that's bekoach ha'adam, that he's got to be metakin himself b'derech ha'tzedek. And if he can't, then he has to go to Rabbim, and if he can't, he has to learn siddhas Davor on some Rabbi, and he has to rub himself around the Chacham. How to say, rub himself around in the dust of the Chacham. So it comes along the Zohar Kodesh. We move in a slightly different direction, and we go into the Zohar Kodesh at P Shoftim. But it also says that there are two inyanim here, tzedek, till Dave, that you have to chase after the inyan from tzedek. And the Zohar Kodesh says that there are like two levels in tzedek, the way the Eibush the paskins a inyan on a mensch, and it brings a lashon from the Gemara. It's very interesting. The Zohar Kodesh quotes a lashon. It's brought both Medrash and in Gemara. But it's written that ein Adam noikiv etzboi lamata ele im kein machrizen olav maila, that you don't stub your toe. How do you call it? Noikiv etzboi. You know, sort of run into something. You know, when you get annoyed by the fact that you stubbed your toe or your thumb. That ein Adam noikiv etzboi, that doesn't happen to you. Ele im kein machrizen olav Milmaila. That they announced that in the Beis Din Shulmaila that that's going to happen to you. In other words, that there's no stam, shum dover, stam, even if you stub your toe or you stub your thumb, then that is a special psach and a hafroza, an announcement in Beis Din Shulmaila that had to happen. Stated in the Zohar Kodesh that that's the inyan of tzedek till day. So what's it got to do one with the other? Was it the shaykhs? So comes along the great Mephosheh Zoya. Now you guys that have got loose stomachs or whatever it is, you must always sit on the edges in the future. No, let him out. No, otherwise we'll sit in the halbe show. Brought down in Sforim, state in Polish Sforim state that if you're cognizant in learning, that should have an effect on all the they sort of stop for a while. So anyway, so it comes along in other words, the effect of Torah is that it freezes all the Gashmias and lets out the Ruch. So comes again the Mephosheh Zoya, and they say what it's got to do with it, that there are two madregas l'mayla in the spiritual alienas, and there's tzedek, but that's malchus. But malchus is what runs all the world, looks after all the hanhoga of the world. But malchus is kilo, like the moon, it's leislei magami klum. He works from the higher things which are given to it. The etzim saktin is in a high level, which is called bina or other spiritual l'mayla. That's where the etzim saktin occurs. So they paskin that you've got to stop your thumb against the table. That goes down into malchus, and malchus is where else? Here we go. The malchus sends down a divine decree that Pliny has to stub his toe. So instead of cursing or shouting and carrying on and dancing with his stubbed toe, he has to realize that this is Aina, which was Paskin Mumayla, and those are the Pshat Tzedek, that there are two different levels in Elikus, but they bring you to stub your toe, as he stated in the Zohar. It's a solution in medicine. We give more of the etzim lashon ein adam noikiv etzboi, but it's appear in the Zohar Kodesh. But Lafisa comes to us a new whole Musa Haskell by the mensch, a whole new way of understanding, a whole new way of learning. And that is that what all these dinim in the Torah that we find, that if somebody damages another person, they has to pay him. Or if he, God forbid, damages one of his Eivarim, knocks him out an eye, okay, he has to pay him up. I mean, he's got to give away from his welfare for the sake of the other guy to put him right. And if Chas v'sholem he kills somebody, then he might have to give away his own life for the fire. What you do? So therefore, it's all Ashgacha. What is You can say it had to happen, didn't it? In other words, if that guy got his eye knocked out, so if you ask the Shaila P Shoftim Prati, then you say, well, he had to lose his eye. They just wanted him to lose his eye. And Mamela was to complaining that he knocked his eye out. He was only doing what the Eibush should give over, because the Eibush wanted him to lose his eye. And he went, or wanted to give him a bruised nose. Okay, from them playing, what do we want from him? So therefore the beer is that Emes, Einochanami, you were paskin Momaila that you had to lose your eye. Or you were paskin Momaila that you had to have a bruised cheek or a bruised nose. Okay, yeah, Einochanami, that was paskin Momaila. Over, yeah, who said that Yena had to do it? Who said he had to be the one? In other words, that he had a bechira, and he made a choice. Remember, he put himself in to be the Shaliyah. The Eibush has got shluchim. The Eibush has got millions and trillions of shluchim to give you a bruise on the nose. By the Eibush, the cleansed to bayah, he can find all sorts of amazing ways to give you a bruise on the nose. And the fact that Yena stood, pushed himself in, and he said, oh, that was his bechira, as it were. He mixed in Kaviyol to the divine, even though that goof is Ashkal. The truth is, the Torah tells us, he pushed himself in, and he has to pay Beroya Bechiros. He's got to pay because he made the wrong choice, and he made himself a shliach that he didn't need necessarily to be. He never had to be really as a shliach. Or he pushed himself in as all as they say, and therefore he has to pay up. Of a soft, he's not really paying you, he's paying like a min knas, to the Eibush that he interfered, and he made himself a shliach loyla teiva. And Mamela come to Eish said that there's by every Indian, there's a certain Indian what a man has to know that ain't Odom Neukefetz boy, Elohim came Machrizin Olav Mil, Mil Mail. And there are two Inyonim here, there are two Inyonim in Tzedek. There's one Tzedek is, that you have to copy it from Mitzadei's time. The Eibush has a cheshbon with you that he wants you to have a bruised nose. The Eibush loiset, Hashem Yerachem. Shelo Yedavar Kazeh. By Af Echad Miyisrael, or the Eibush to one of Mitzadei's time that you should be noikev etzboecha. Yeah, but that's already not with a shliach, unless you can describe the table as a shliach. It was all paskin Momaila that you had to be soivel. Mamela, that's one Indian in what you might call tzedek. And then there's another Indian, another tzedek, that there he missed in. He's got to also face a din cheshbon. Yeah, and Mamela, that's what the Zohar Kodesh is maramis. That in every Indian tzedek, there's two tzedeks. There's a Indian, particularly in human affairs. There's a Indian of ein Odom Neukefetz boy that you had to suffer and you had to be soivel. Because that was paskin delechem milmaila, but he didn't have to shtup himself around. And Mamela, he also has to face inyan. Even though in the Zohar Kodesh, it's not necessarily talking about only human relations. No, it's talking about any inyan that happened to you, and therefore it used the expression "Ain't not a neukefetz boy" that you could just stuck your toe on a table. Well, it's very hard to say that the table was a shliach. The devil, the table doesn't have to pay you any damages. That the Father Yerushalmi brings down, that it wouldn't make any sense to hit the table back. And if for some reason you stuck your toe on the table, or stayed in the Yerushalmi, it wouldn't help to hit back the table, or to hate the table, or to be angry with the table. That wouldn't help. Yeah, and as they bring to Yerushalmi, when they get to Avos Yisrael, that even if for some reason the other guy did something which upset you, then they have to realize that was Ein Adam Neikefet's boy. It doesn't help to get angry with him or hit him back or do something back to him. Or Cholila hate him, because you're going against the divine decree. They're doing that. That's the Indian Harvest Israel. That you have to love him nonetheless, because on the contrary, it's mashma in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe is on the contrary, you should hold him at the end of Perek Yud Beis. The Alter Rebbe brings it on the contrary. You have to go hold him for a glorifying mensch, that he was the one who carried out what had to happen to you anyway. And since it was anyway for your benefit, it was a tikkun for you that had to happen on the contrary, you should give him a yasha koya. As I stated in Tanya at the end of Perek Yud Beis, take a look and he'll say, he said that what you have to pay him, I'm sorry, that what he has to pay you has got nothing to do with them. That's a knas what the Eibishter gave him, because he made the wrong bechira of his fast your concern. That's not nish to do. You have to be pleased with him, because Ein Adam Neikefet's boy Alan came machris no love meiler. It had to happen to you anyway. In Miller darfst du sein zufrieden, and you have to be happy with him gamke. Tell your employer von der Sache. Miller nimmt that all the dinim and the Torah from Ezekiel and from all those in Yonim, all of them have got nothing to do with the etzem mensch that it happened to, and even to the relationship between him and the mensch that did it to him. The whole Indian is a divine in Bain. Bain when they get to the etzem Indian that it happened to the Nizok, to the one who was damaged, and Bain to the Mazik. Then anyway, the Eibush has got his chesed with him. And it's brought down in other places that why does Eibush have a chesed with him? Because he was only, surely finished an under amount that he done. And therefore, it's a charayin that he had made as a bechira v'chuli was kimat ein l'shaya u'lataya, the tremendous secrets of Hashgacha Prati. How it all functions, how all the different inyonim all come together. But that's a tremendous Musa Haskel, tremendous his boniness, that it's not worthy to get angry no matter what happened. And the Alter Rebbe brings that down in Tanya, in Geras HaKodesh. He brings down a whole beer in Dem Chesben, Be'erach, Mashu Misug there, and he begins with the Maimon Chazal, that Kol HaKoyes Ke'ilu Eved Aveda Zorah. Somebody gets angry, it's like as if he served Aveda Zorah. And says the Alter Rebbe, for who is? Because if you get angry, then you're missing the whole point. It was all anyway. Hashgacha Prati is all I feel in Azar even what he has to pay, and he's mamish held by the Torah to be chayav. Yes, so you can say, well, I thought you have to pay up, and the Torah says he's chayav. Then I've also got a chesed with him. Says the Alter Rebbe, no, you do what's with him going. You don't have with him anything. The Eibishter hat mit them. But you have to say, when the Alter Rebbe says at the end of Perek Yud Beis, you have to say to him, now you try it out and see how good you are at it. If somebody give you a shmiz, and you go up to and say, listen here man, I yasha koya for them. Aber they state, kach ze ketuvin, they state in Tanya. Amamira comes out another Lefida Zohar Kodesh, another Indian kimat im pshutum shel dvarim, a whole new gila in the senior from two madregas in tzedek. Tzedek. Till the also upon we have to think Lefida Pshat was brought by the Vein of Chaye, and the Pshat was brought by the Ramban. But there's another very high Madrega which is going to be Miskala al Day Moshiach. That's the second Madrega. The second Indian. In Tzedek, that's Gora Hoicha Madrega, Gora Hoicha Inyan. If he said come to us, that's going to be another type of tzedek. That's not going to be a shaf din type tzedek, like a judgment. Like humans have to judge, like the Bezdin have to judge, but they have to go and they can't be mavater, ki who's there, and the dinim is written in the Shulchan Aruch, or in the Rambam, or in the Sanhedrin, or the dinim of the Sanhedrin, and therefore they have to go with the whole take of Hadin, with the whole take of believe Atronas as brought down. You're not allowed to be Mavat. Like Rabbi Kiva says in the Gemara, and Kama Mekayim is Ein Marach Min bedin. When it comes to judgment in person, you can't say, oh, yes, Rahman Sapien. You have to pass him, wie the din is. Oh, but that's fight up shot in Tzedek. It would appear that there's corpse another Indian in din, but it's going to come ribui oyer. It's going to be so great that people are going to automatically feel just how they've missed a lot of the points, as you might say. Aber that's going to come mitzad rachamim, or mitzad istatlas, from the Eibishter, dafke with rachamim albri, abriyayitza. And all the Eibishter's going to want from you is that you just be moida, that you sort of missed on a lot, and then he'll say to you, well, Emes, of an hour we've got to it, and you held out. Nonetheless, despite the fact that you didn't quite reach the ultimate shleimus of an hour, that's an unbelievable jewel like I'm making. Let's have a tremendous ishgalgalus of what you might call appreciation of this whole new situation. There'll be a whole new union of the Eibusher with these kinder. And that's the union, and the zweite tzedek, it's a much higher type of tzedek. It's got in itself the meaning for rachmi. And therefore, that's what we find, that it must be in certain places that tzedek is din. And in other places it's must be that tzedek can have a shaykhus to rachmi. And therefore every Friday in the Pasuk Eliyahu, right near the end, you say that tzedek ihu dinner, you say that tzedek is din. And then you say there's mishpat. As long as din and mishpat go together, then it says ihu rachamim. That's rachamim. The way you bring a certain mishpat into the tzedek, then it becomes rachamim. So the inim for mishpat turns the din and the tzedek into rachamim. So it's brought down that the Eibusher is going to be yishpoit tevel b'tzedek. It's written, we say it on Rosh Hashanah. He's going to judge the world with tzedek. Yishpoit b'tzedek. In other words, that the way the Eibusher is going to judge the world, the Yosid, is going to be a mixture of tzedek mit mishpat. In other words, tzedek together with rachamim. In other words, azar rachamim, azar tzedek, which is really unbelievable rachamim. And therefore, that's the union which is brought down, the Betzedek Tishbeit Esamiselcha in the Rukni. So union, you have to judge him according to the laws of the Torah, but at the same time you have to look at him with Rachamim, and like we see in Piriois, Al Tanin is Chavercha, Achetamit Bim Koima. You shouldn't judge another person unless you know that you can picture to yourself that you were in the same matter, weren't you? We see that the whole new, and the Rabbeinu B'chaya brings down a fascinating inner, well, that's going to lead us into Moshiach. The Rabbeinu B'chaya says that the far that somebody who's mizkaya to Yiddishkeit and becomes a ger, that's called B'loshen HaMukubolim a ger tzedek. Tzedek. So he said, why is he called ger tzedek? Because he comes from a Zamadrega, the union of a level, which is the second level in tzedek, but that's mi'ain duli, osid, what that's called a hoichama drega. In other words, how could a mensch tear himself out from a matzah and come over into the union for kedusha, and not only be in kedusha, to be makabel all of the inyanim in kedusha, afshaloi, al piseichol, certain the inyanim stimmen nicht, besichloi, afu pikein. How does he have that koyach? Dafki mitzad the union of the zweite madrege in tzedek. The second level, a union van koyach eloki lemaila, that's a union van rachmim. Rachmim from the Eibusher, that's called ger tzedek. Now if we go from that a step further, then everybody's familiar with the fact that one of the names of Moshiach has, and it's used often in different places, in the different tefillos for chulu. Does anybody know what the name of Moshiach is? He's called a Goyel Tzedek. He's called the Goyel Tzedek. Ha Goyel Tzedek. And he's going to be the Redeemer, but he's going to be the Redeemer of Tzedek. Goyel Tzedek. So our Sota Shala, what you do is for Why would there be such how do you call it, emphasis and how do you call it, Unterstreichung, how do they say in Yiddish, underlining. Yeah, when you get to Moshiach, that he's going to be a goyel, he's going to redeem everything, but he's going to be a goyel tzedek. Yeah, what does he do? Yeah, was it Nakuda Bezeh? Therefore, we find the most amazing section in Yeshaya Novi, but it's in the Haftarah of Shvish or Pesach. Yom Sheni Shel Shvi Achen Shel Pesach B'chutz L'Oretz. But it's written over there in reference to Moshiach, an amazing passage. But when you read it, your eyes sort of jump out, and you immediately stand up and say, "No, no, no! We want Moshiach now. We want Moshiach now." So it's written like this. I'm going to read a few psukim to lead into the passage that we were after. So Yeshaya Novi says, "Vayotzo choiter migeza Yishoi." There's going to come out a staff, literally, from the family of Yishai. Yishai was David HaMelech's father. The whole people, why did he connect him with Yishai and not David? Anyway, v'neitzer mishroshav yifroch, and a sprout will grow out from the roots of Yishai. V'nochal of ruach Hashem, and there will rest upon him the spirit of the Eibishter. Aruach chachma ubina, aruach eitza ugevura, ruach das, ruach of knowledge, v'yiras Hashem. V'harichoi b'yiras Hashem, and the Eibishter will make him literally smell, the fear of the Eibishter. He won't judge according to the seeing of his eyes, and he won't decide and paskin things according to the hearing of his ears. He will judge with tzedek the poor ones, literally. And with straight decisions and straight rulings, he will correct the humble ones of the earth. And he will smite the earth just with the words of it, with the smiting of his mouth. And with the speaking of his lips, he can knock off the Rishoyim. But the Rebbe put away Stalin and other mouths or whatever. Yeah. With the Ruach Esfasa, the Rebbe got rid of Stalin. Toshin Yutai. So we see here that Moshiach is going to be in a Zarifan from Harichoi Beyiras Hashem. The Eibs is going to give him Ayin from Reach in Yiras Hashem. Literally, he will smell almost what you might say the union of Yiras Hashem, and then he won't go according to his eyes and not according to his hearing and all those in yon. Comes along the Ababan hill, and the Ababan says, "Wait a minute, shofat, but tzedek, if he's going to judge, then we have a cloud that you have to judge according to your eyes and your ears. We are this absurd. Moshiach not going to judge that way." So therefore he said that the whole meaning of Moshiach is that he's going to be l'mayla me'teva ha'olam, and he's going to be a novi, and he's going to be a novi godel, like the Rambam brings down, and he's also married to them. What does it mean, a novi godel? And everything by Moshiach is going to be in an even from l'mayla me'teva ha'olam, in an even from nevuah. And that's going to be realized by all peoples of the earth. Everybody's going to see that. And they'll know that Moshiach is going to judge them in a different way. In other words, he's going to just, he's just going to take a schmeck, as they say in Yiddish, and he'll already know what is happening. This sort of leads us into the world of, this whole business nowadays with computers. You have to do with thousands of people with one mark. People press buttons and it was all sorts of amazing marches. So it's not hard to understand how there's going to be this type of inyan. The Moshiach will smell and he'll know about thousands of people and what's happening, and we say, and with every individual, and therefore the inyan from Reyach, we see that Reyach is a very, very powerful and high inyan, as it's brought down in Siddur, that Reyach is shy to the Etzem HaNefesh. And therefore somebody faints and the Gilui HaNefesh is mistalik, and you give him smelling, so a very, very strong smell. What is put in Ayin Beis, a ganz arichas about that. The Rebbe Nishmas Yeiden is masber that the emissary inyan from Reyach is really a Reyach Chorev. Not sweet things, that's easy stuff. But a real Reyach is a Dova HaChorev, that's just what hits you. When you take a Reyach, Mashiach is going to have this unbelievable power that he's going to be Mariach, Be'irus Hashem. He's going to be able to look into the etzem of a person, and that's the idea of Reyach. He's going to be able to see B'emes Lamite was Tutzit. That's what we said for the second Madrega in Tzedek. There's going to be just a pink light that's going to shine, and he'll know immediately was Tutzit in Udin. Yonim deep down into the Chadrei Bote. In other words, that he's going to have this power of Reyach, or that's a way of saying he's going to know alles was Tutzach in the Etzem, not just in the Gilui, but in the Etzem. The Etzem, what I mean? Erfa, the Gemara says in Masechta Sanhedrin that Moshiach Moirach V'doin, he's going to smell and he will judge. Isn't the Gemara? Moshiach Moirach V'doin. In other words, through the inyan from Reyach, he'll come into the Etzem, and that's how he's going to judge. And therefore says the Pasuk, V'shofat b'tzedek dalim. He'll take all the people, all the Yidden, what never they've been in a Matzah for thousands of years in Golas. Dalim. Once in Shkikoyer, there's no possibility to hold out the whole Matzah anymore. Like I heard from the Rebbe one time by the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, it's written at the end of the Shir Sazino, just another few, how far are we away now from Hazino? We're getting pretty close. And they state to it, at the end of the whole Shir, it's written, V'chiper ad Mosei Amoir, that the Eibishter will be Mechaper, his land, which is his people. And therefore, Rashi says an amazing thing over there, that Eretz Yisrael and the Yidden are all one and the same minyan, one and the same thing, mamish. And therefore, Rashi says that what does it mean? Chiper lefayes. What lefayes means to, that he called, re-establish a relation which was a bit strained. How to say to, what's it? Lefayes. In Yiddish, it's Iberbettenzach. You sort of like apologize one to the other, and you reform the relationship. But that's the union of lefayes. There's a word in English that you guys don't talk English.
Make amends.
Huh?
Make amends.
Make
amends.
Yeah, make amends. It's deeper than that. There's another word. Anyway, most of these guys from America don't talk English anyway. Maybe from England, they talk a little bit. It's a mega. But it's written no that the Eibishter will be mafayes. The Eibishter will literally, how do you call it, Iberbetten. He will ask like for forgiveness almost from the Jewish people and from Eretz Yisrael for all that they've been through in all the generations of the Golas. I don't say I sold the Shaila. I make it already quickly now. It's not getting better. The Eibishter is going to have to ask for even bigger forgiveness the longer the Golas goes, the more difficult it's going to be for the Eibishter. Anyway, whatever. That means that all Yidden at the time when Moshiach comes are going to be like Dalim. They're not going to have any quirk anymore. They're shvach. And they're unveoret, the sort of the humble people that they're bending towards the earth, as you might say. It's difficult. They have no power to hold out. Shofat b'tzedek dalim. Moshiach is going to use that unbelievable power of Reah that Hashem is going to give him, and he's going to look, down with Rachamim together with Tzedek. And what do we say? Mishpat, together with Tzedek. What do we say that was? Does Emes Rachamim. That's like a combination. In other words, the Mashiach will know the Emes. Tzedek, he'll know what the Emes is. He'll see. But he'll do it in a way of Va'ishpot. He'll do it in a way of Mishpat together with Tzedek. It doesn't go Rachamim. In other words, what's Rachamim? That you see with everything, with you got good eyes, you may see everything that's not Maseidah. And yet, what do you say? Afu Pikain, we have to understand Sarachmanim. Sof Kosof, he's not really as shulik as what he looks, because after all, it was a terrible matter. And who knows? How he got the koiches to stand over at Balavoch. It's a terrible Rachmanis. Mitzad that Rachmanis, there'll be a different psak in the whole din. And that's the Indian that is Mavur and Siddur. A Tiferes is Kava Emtoi. What does it mean for Rachamim? And the Kava Emtoi, Davke takes into account what the Midas Adin said. He also knows what Midas Adin, also knows what Gevurah said. And it knows what Chesed said. And it makes a combination that is not to Chesed. And so we have to go according to Chesed. By since it's taking into account the Indian from the Din, it's going higher than Chesed. It only just begins with Chesed, and it comes to Azar Madrega, which is higher both than Din and Chesed. Well, those are the Indian from Etzem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is really L'mayla Mikol HaSfirot. That's the Indian. Pnimius HaKava Emtoi is Ein Seif Mama. Edafar. That's what the pasuk is. Maram is b'shofet b'tzedek dalim, that all the leftover, all the people we left in the Golas, and all the people will stand up to feel it's amazing. But Al Lin was in given the Golas. Melech HaMoshiach will be shofet. It will be anything from Mishpat b'tzedek. It will be unbelievable rachamim, dalim, and therefore it will be mochiach. He'll be mochiach b'mishoya. He'll say, listen here guys, this is where it's supposed to be. La'an ve'oretz, to the people who are so humble and broken. And then, what will he do? He'll be vehiko b'shevet pi v'ruch spasov yom yisrosh. That he'll take all the Rishonim, and just with a word, right, he'll put them away. And that's what we saw happen by the famous Fabrengen when the river brought down the whole Indian for hoorah, and they get to Stalin, and they found out later that Boesi Hazman had Gepeget. Yemach Shemoye v'zichra. But it's well known that he was Harvey Yosef Guru and Hitler. Harvey Yosef Guru. Both in his attitude to things, and both in the number of people that he brought to death was much more than Hitler. And therefore, that's the Indian of Melech HaMoshiach. And therefore, that's the difference between Tzedek Stam and a Rebbe. Tzedek Stam is a Rov. That's a Rov in a bed, and he's got to go according to the Tzedek. He's got a paskin, and that's his Indian. Therefore, the Rebbe sometimes sent to Rabbanim, and said, listen, you Rabbanim, you've got a paskin. And then he said, you got a paskin, Mashiach has to come, that's another man. But he said, you got a paskin. Over our Rebbe, Emes a Rebbe, Achrei Rebbe, Shiorim, Emes a Rebbe, he's a Indian, Melech HaMoshiach, his Indian is, Shofet B'tzedek Dalim. He's the combination of Din and Mishpat, where that becomes Ayin for Rachamim. He just throws tremendous light, and therefore the Rebbe brings in everybody. Everybody has a place. Everybody's got their place, and thousands of people went past the Rebbe, but he knew where they were holding, and what he took to. And Afu Pikain, we see that only B'chesed B'Rachamim and B'Yahav or Atzmi, said the Rebbe was Mekarav Yeder Eina. Everybody, even though he knew doubtless the situation. And therefore, that's the Indian from Shofat B'tzedek Dalim. Therefore, people say, why did the Rebbe stand for hours and give out dollars? And what is the Indian bazaar? But that's the Indian. Melech HaMoshiach had to meet all the Dalim. He had to meet up with all the Dalim, and he had to be mamshich on them. Indian from Rachamim. Well, that was $1. And in the dollar, it used to be written on the Eivs Adolfin, I'll take it from Yad, they'll make it back. If they got any sense that it was written on the dollar, in God we trust.
In coins, it's still on the dollar.
Huh?
It's still on the dollar.
On the single dollar, it's still there. No Baruch Hashem Lefar. The Rebbe used to give him a star, what does he geld? Geld's got to do with the highest of a mensch. On Geld will never come in this truth coming. You have to have Geld. Geld is to highest, and the Rebbe used to give them, in God we trust, into their hand, from his heilige hand, and that was the inim for Shofat B'Tzedik Dalim. Or when it came to put things right, and to shrein about what you have to shrei, then Hochia B'Misha, the Rebbe said the right, straight things for everybody, and told me he had to say it sharp. Yochiach. Yochiach means that he called to reprimand, and he was ready for that also. And that is Kiton, and he said, well, all the mistakes that were made throughout the world, and B'Meyuchad here in Eretz, and he was Mochiach B'Misha, with the straightest and most wondrous, straight thinking and straight swatters that have ever been in the history of man. Until even the American president, unfortunately many of them in recent generations haven't been kolkach muvurachim b'chachma, but there were certain of the American presidents that they realized that he was right, and they gave out cruising lefi devorov, and they praised him because they knew that they were betelim and told him legavi the giluf from Melech Mashiach. Even though they didn't realize it, the mazel from them and the shurish from Sekam Lamaila that knew. Hashem should help you. We be Makayim that in each and every one of us tzedek, tilde. We should run after tzedek, and we should be good living examples of everything we know and everything we learn. We should be an even from tzedek. We should be one misha, machshava diva, or maisa. We should live in the union from tzedek. We should paskin sharply legabi ourselves sometimes, and demand of ourselves. Well, that's union from tzedek. Then we have to know that there's a much higher tzedek, a much higher union from gilei alakus. Those are the union from Teres Achsidus, and those are the union from Pnimius HaTorah. And therefore the Ramban brings it down b'shem Sefer HaBoya, when it's a Kabbalah Sefer. And so this is the Rabbeinu B'Chaye, and you have to know that higher than that is the union from Melech Mashiach himself. Well, that's the union from V'Shofat Tzedek Dalim, the union from the Rebbe, and the union from these scholars taken from Miyad of Choyter mi Yishai. Yoto and nature Mishroshov Yifroch, it'll sprout out, it'll grow out and sprout out. I saw one of them before, just a word. He said, why is it written for nature Mishroshov Yifrach? You know what a nature for Nashoilish is? That if you cut down a tree, or you cut the whole tree down, and there's only just a little piece of the shurish near the bottom of the ground, after a while, what happens? The tree starts sending out these little sprouts. In other words, he starts obstinately refusing to be cut down, and he starts growing out, growing again. And those little things are called neitzarim. They're called neitzer. That one of the great Meforshim writes that Yidden never have been chopped down, and that there's only a little piece of root near the ground. Or Mashiach is going to be a big sprout that he's going to come out of. He's going to say that the tree is growing. It's not down at the ground. It's growing all over again. It's growing in a new way, and in a way it's going to take over the whole world and run the whole world, and it'll bring all the people, including, and that's the union from Goyel Tzedek. Therefore, he's going to be a Goyel, but he'll be Goyel with all the Pirushim. And Tzedek and Omen Kenya Hirotzen taken from Yad Mami. Good. Okay.
Yehi Adonai Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach ve'el vay. Yehi Adonai Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach ve'el vay.